Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Eva, a mortgage professional talking all things finance. Now today's video is going to be me addressing some commonly asked mortgage questions and giving you guys my answers on them. I do often do a Q&A on my Instagram as well as on my TikTok, so make sure you follow them both so you don't miss out. And if you do have any questions, feel free to email me directly. All my contact details are always in the description box down below. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So let's start with the first question, which is what is better, a 2-year fixed or a 5-year fixed? So that hugely depends on your circumstances. Now, the approach that we take is that if you're a first-time buyer, you're most likely better off with a 5-year fixed. Now, the reason for that is because it gives you certainty over your repayments for a longer period of time, which makes it a lot easier for you to budget your money. Obviously, when you're a first-time buyer, sometimes you've not rented before, so it's kind of impossible for you to tell what the bills are going to add up to on a monthly basis. But knowing that your mortgage repayments are going to remain the same for a period of 5 years gives you that peace of mind. Now, the reason a lot of mortgage brokers tend to go for 2-year deals is mainly because of commission, right? If they review your mortgage every 2 years, they'll get commission. So take from that what you want. Now they will dress it up really nicely and be like, a 2-year fixed deal is the best option out there. It's the best deal out there. And don't get me wrong, the interest rates on 2-year deals will be slightly lower than a 5-year fixed deal. It's obvious, right? It's obvious because you're getting that rate for less time. So in the lender's eyes, if they then put the interest rates up and after the 2 years, you have to remortgage to a higher rate, they're quids in, aren't they? But if you want to get more certainty and peace of mind for longer, you're going to have to pay a little bit extra for it. Let me point something out here though. Right now, with the interest rates being so extremely low, the difference between a 2-year fixed and a 5-year fixed is almost minimal. You're probably not even going to notice the difference that much. So it's definitely worth considering. But ultimately, it does depend on your circumstances, and your mortgage advisor will assess that before telling you what's best for you. But if you do speak to one and straight away they're showing you 2-year fixed deals, challenge them, ask them about the 5-year deals, tell them to show you the comparison. It's your mortgage at the end of the day, don't let them take ownership of it. Question number 2 is, should I go for a shorter term or a longer term? Okay, here's another one. Now, a lot of people argue that obviously going for a longer term means that you pay more interest overall. Correct, you do. However, the thing with mortgage terms is that you can change it throughout your mortgage term, right? It is not set in stone. So just because you start off with, let's say, a 35-year term, doesn't mean that your mortgage will last 35 years. Circumstances change. Everything changes as you grow up. As the years go on, everything changes. So the main reason people end up getting the likes of 35 or even 40-year mortgages at the outset is primarily because of their age. So a lot of first-time buyers tend to be on the younger side. So obviously they can afford to take out a longer term because they're not retiring for 40 plus years. Another reason is that the longer your mortgage term, the shorter the repayments. And that's especially important for the likes of first-time buyers, especially if, once again, you're younger, because 9 times out of 10, your salary is a lot lower than what it's going to be in 5 or 10 years' time. So naturally, you want your monthly repayments to be as low as possible to help you budget your money better, to help you manage your finances. And there is nothing wrong with choosing a longer term. And for those arguing that you're going to pay more interest overall, you can overpay, right? You can overpay your mortgage up to 10% per annum, like 10% of the outstanding balance per annum. Now, not all mortgages allow that, so make sure you do check your terms and conditions, but majority of the deals out there nowadays do allow you to do that. Utilize it. That's how you save interest. But also when it comes to your remortgage, if you can afford more at the point of your remortgage, shorten your term, see what the monthly repayments are going to look like. If you can afford the new monthly repayments, shorten the term at that stage. There is honestly nothing stopping you from doing that. And a good mortgage advisor will highlight this to you. Now, question number 3 is one that I do get quite a lot, and that's, how much deposit will I need? So once again, with the deposit, the higher the deposit that you have available, the lower the rate that you can access. It's as simple as that. So you can put down as little as 5% deposit nowadays, which obviously is amazing to a lot of people because that means you require a smaller initial input. However, if you're only putting down a 5% deposit, that naturally means that you have to borrow more. So not only does that increase your monthly repayments, but also certain people won't be able to afford to borrow that extra amount because it's all obviously linked to your salary, your expenses, etc, etc. So I'd say it's important to establish how much you can actually borrow from the outset. Then look at the properties that you ideally would like to buy. Obviously, let's be realistic about this and not be looking at mansions worth £500,000 or £1 million or whatever it may be. However, if you've got a property in mind, let's say it's 150 grand and you can borrow a maximum of 100k, naturally that means you're going to have to fund that 50k yourself as a deposit. So that's a good way of working it out as well. But in order to access the cheaper rate, you're probably looking at putting down about 15% or more, as the 5% and 10% deals are the more expensive. But as I say, in a lot of cases, it will all come down to the property that you're actually looking to buy. Okay, question number 4 is, what other costs are involved in a mortgage? So obviously we've got the likes of your legal costs, so you will need a solicitor to do all the searches, all the registration, blah blah blah, all of that boring stuff. So yeah, that is probably going to be one of your biggest costs, and that can vary from about £1,000, sometimes slightly less, but very unlikely nowadays. But yeah, from about £1,000 to £2,000, £3,000, £4,000. It all depends on the property that you're looking to buy, in all honesty. Obviously, the more expensive the property, the more likely the fees are going to be slightly higher. So always get a few quotes just to compare the different firms and what they do. But aside from the legal costs, you may have stamp duty costs to pay. So at the moment, as a first time buyer, you're actually able to purchase a property up to £300,000 and not have to pay any stamp duty at all. But that is subject to change, and honestly guys, the stamp duty does change quite a bit, especially recently with the whole coronavirus. There have been certain stamp duty holidays. We're coming up to the end of the second stamp duty holiday, so always make sure you review this, and your solicitor will be able to tell you how much stamp duty is potentially payable, but you can also check that yourself. So I'll pop a link down below to a calculator that the government actually uses to calculate how much stamp duty you're actually going to have to pay. Now, you may also have the likes of advisor costs, mortgage costs. So certain lenders will have arrangement fees. To be honest, most lenders do have arrangement fees, and those products tend to carry a lower interest rate. So when your mortgage advisor is carrying out research as to which lender is offering the best deal, they will actually compare all of the costs, and sometimes what you'll find is that the product with the fee is actually cheaper overall than the product without a fee. So be prepared for that as well, as that's most likely the product that they're going to be recommending to you. So as well as having to save up your deposit, you will also require that bit extra for all the additional costs. So make sure you're prepared for that. I normally say have at least £2,000 to £5,000 saved up extra just for those additional costs. And anything left over, obviously, is your emergency fund as well, which is very important. Okay, so the next question is, how much can I borrow? Now, this is probably the most asked question that I do get across all my socials and in my emails. And this depends on so many factors, right? So let me just give you a bit of an idea. Now, when we do our research, we will research a number of different lenders to see obviously how much you can actually borrow. The same input, so your income, expenditure, etc, etc, will produce a number of different outputs based on the lenders. So every lender will lend you a different amount, which is bizarre, but it's how their algorithms and calculations work. So certain lenders will lend you up to kind of 5 or even 5.5 times your salary, providing you meet certain thresholds, and some lenders won't lend anything at all for whatever reason. So that's why it's honestly vital to speak to a mortgage advisor when you are looking to get a mortgage, because that reduces your chances of getting an application declined. Because if you go to a lender that from our research would lend you nil, and you go directly to them because let's say they're your existing bank, and they turn around to you and say, well, actually, no, we can't lend you anything, not only have you wasted time, but you have to then start from scratch by speaking to a mortgage advisor. So as a first point of call, you should always consult an independent mortgage advisor. And listen, I know I bang on about it and I know I'm biased, but I genuinely mean that. And no, you don't have to use us. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is there is definitely value in using a mortgage advisor because they will do the right research for you so that you avoid any hiccups. But ultimately, lenders will take various things into account when calculating your affordability and how much you can actually borrow. So the likes of any debt that you have, how much you're actually earning, any commission, any bonuses, any overtime. Certain lenders will take certain things into account. Dependence as well, you know, if you have kids, that will usually impact how much you can borrow, especially if you have the likes of school fees or childcare to pay for. But it's important that the lenders are aware of it. So always make sure you provide as much information as you can. Right, I'll answer one more question as I don't want this video to be too long. So the question I'm going to answer is, will having car finance or credit card debt impact my mortgage? Now this is once again something that I do get asked quite a lot, and it's not kind of car finance or credit card specifically, but just debt in general. You know, how does debt affect your mortgage application? And ultimately it all comes down to how much you owe. Now the more debt that you have, the less you can borrow, which is kind of obvious, but the way lenders look at it is income to debt ratio. So if you've got relatively low income, but you've got a lot of debt, then you could find yourself in a position where you can't borrow anything at all. So it's important that when you do look at getting a mortgage, try and cut your debt as much as you can. Like, I know sometimes it's impossible when it comes to car finance, for example, especially if you've only just got into the agreement, but look at your overall income. Can you actually comfortably afford that car finance? And unfortunately, lenders will look at it and lenders will include that in their calculations. There's honestly no going around it. So I guess the short answer is yes, the likes of your car finance and your credit card debt, they can actually stop you from getting a mortgage if obviously they're high enough. So my best recommendation here would be to get rid of as much debt as you can before looking to apply for a mortgage. And on that note, we're going to end this video here. I hope you found it useful. And honestly, these are just some of the questions I get asked on a regular basis. So if you have any further questions, as I mentioned before, feel free to contact me directly and I'll always be more than happy to assist you. As always, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel down below, as it really helps me and actually allows more people to view my content and hopefully learn from it. So thank you for watching and I'll see you guys back on Friday with a brand new video. Bye guys!